Oh, well, that's different. Yeah, absolutely. Like, if Selma Hayek can give me salmonella, I'd still be okay. Like, it'd be fine. They want me to do whatever.
Gather together from the cosmic reaches of the universe.
You mean our guest tonight is
Dedicated to truth, justice, and peace. It's the world's greatest superpower show.
All right, welcome to Mind in the Multiverse. My name is Gabriel.
And I'm Jeremy.
And we are here to talk about comics, culture, and the soft rock juggernaut, Lobo. The singer-songwriter who, in the early 1970s, scored several top 10 yacht rock hits, including How Deep Is Your Love, The Albatross, and the classic Me and You and a Dog Named Boo.
Me and you and a dog named Boo, traveling and living off the land.
Jeremy, what's your favorite Lobo song?
You know, I think I may have brought the wrong notes. I was not under the impression we were going to be doing the wonderful soft rock juggernaut Lobo. I think my notes are useless today.
Oh, bummer. Well, let me tell you, you're in for a treat because
I need to definitely get down with this Me and You and a Dog Named Boo.
Yeah. But just out of curiosity, what are your notes for?
Well, my notes are for the 1990s revival of the character Lobo from DC Comics.
That is very different.
Yes, very different. I'm going to guess that the soft rock Lobo is a much nicer fellow.
Yeah, probably.
Comparatively.
Probably. I didn't go too deep on his wiki, so hopefully he didn't go Charles Manson and kill a bunch of people after starting a folk music band.
As long as he's not gutting people who slightly annoy him, I think he's going to be a better dude than our other pal, Lobo.
All right, well, then I will put my notes aside, and I say that we go with yours today, because yours sounds actually more exciting. So,
a bit.
This week, instead, we're going to cover Lobo, the last Czarnian Portrait of a Psychopath from 1990, which sounds very different than Me and You and a Dog Named Boo, but I'm not sure. Let's find out. We'll compare notes at the end and see how close they are.
Yeah, this is he's a bit different than the singer-songwriter. It's definitely this is a mixed bag one for me.
Okay.
You know, generally this is the kind of content in a book that I really like. It's zany, it's wacky, it's out there. There's a lot of humor, you know, ultra violence, you know, a main character who's kind of like a don't give a fuck kind of person. But I don't know a lot of his history before the 90s. And he was introduced in Omega Men #3 in June of '83, so quite some time ago, and he was way different.
Was that like a team book or something, or was he part of a team? Or
I don't know. No, he was the villain. He was
okay.
He was definitely, when he was introduced, a villain.
Got it.
And he was a little wacky based off of what I looked up, but nothing like his revival in 1990. This is by Keith Giffen and Alan Grant, with the majority of the art being done by Simon Bisley or Bisley. I'm not sure how to say his last name.
Yeah. I always see it written, you know, or painted on covers. But yeah,
yes.
I in my head it's always just that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Bisley. It might even be Bisley. I don't know. You
Yeah,
know, could
sure.
be Jeffrey for all we know.
It's pronounced Jeffrey.
Yeah, but there's some guest artists. There's, you know, sections of the book, one shot splash pages, you know, guest artists and whatnot. Christian Alamy, Dennis Cowan, and Kevin O'Neill also do some art in this book.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy because this character, like, as of these 4 issues that we're going to cover, he's not a good guy in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
And I know that later in his, you know, career, whatever, he's pretty much stays an anti-hero, I guess. He fights good guys, he fights bad guys. Sometimes he does good things, sometimes he does bad things.
Right.
And so I guess he's kind of seen as a Deadpool of sorts.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
They do share a cheekier fourth wall breaking
Yeah.
mentality where they're both reflections on a movement rather than being part of the movement itself.
It's the gritty anti-hero, you know,
Yeah.
and it's a lot of parody stuff.
Yeah, who's mostly doing things for laughs. Right.
Exactly. But like, again, it's, you know, Deadpool, as much of a killer mercenary kind of guy that he is, he's generally considered a good person. Wade Wilson is generally a good guy. He just does bad things sometimes, right?
Right.
Lobo, at least in these 4 issues, literally is just a psychopath. Like he has his own kind of code, but he really is just a bad guy. You know, he kills people that don't deserve to die by the literal billions.
Yeah, that's on a different Deadpool scale.
Right. We'll get into that. But yeah, no, he's responsible for literally billions upon, you know, hundreds of billions of deaths.
Wow.
So
yeah, that's in the supervillain category.
Exactly. It's supervillain territory. He shouldn't be praised, in my opinion, at least from these first 4 issues that we're about to cover.
Got it.
If they change him later, if they retcon that part of his past and turn him into something else, I don't know.
Right.
You know, maybe we can come back to him down the road and see what he's like in his new version, because I know there's a totally new version, a totally new look.
Yeah.
So maybe it's different.
He's in a few of the animated things too.
Right.
So yeah, he's definitely evolved as a character in the last 30 years. But yeah, he still seems to be like the tough guy. He's like Deadpool and Bender.
Yeah.
Where it's just like an apathy
Right.
that is bordering on psychopathic, but also like the desire to do it.
He definitely likes to do it. Yes.
Yeah.
It's definitely a favorite pastime of his origin story. There's a lot of inspiration. You know, he takes inspiration from a lot of different places. Like his origin story is very much like the Grinch, but if he was like way more stabby, way more
Just
murdery.
Is this the first Dr. Seuss book that was canceled? Was Lobo the story?
Yeah, this was his first Grinch, you know, version that was not accepted.
Wow.
and the reason why I say that is because, you know, we can go over it a little bit more in the first issue, but essentially he is born onto a paradise planet.
Okay.
Everybody is happy. There's no, it's a utopia. There's nobody's hungry, nobody's homeless. Everybody lives forever unless they choose to die. Like it's this place where if you dream something, you get it, right?
This is a real Star Trek Next Generation kind of
Oh,
vibe
yeah.
going
Oh
here.
yeah.
Okay.
Big time. Everybody, you know, like the Czarnians have, you know, they can clone themselves. They can regrow anything. They're essentially immortal. Like I just mentioned, they have to choose to die rather than live for eternity. Right.
Cool.
And then Lobo's born. And Lobo is like the Grinch. Yeah. Lobo is like the Grinch. He's totally different. He doesn't look like them. I mean, he does. He's got the white skin and the pale hair and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And he has all their basic abilities of regrowth and cloning and all this kind of stuff. But he's got this thirst for killing and mayhem and anarchy, and they don't even have words for what he does.
Okay, so he's not coming from like a Klingon society where he's just like the baddest or the badasses. He's like completely out of left field.
Yep, that was my first thought was, oh, he's the Grinch, but on a cosmic scale.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah. And maybe that's what they were going for. You know, maybe that was the idea that, you know, he's the lone outsider inside of an entire society of like-minded individuals. The Who's lived in their own perfect society where Christmas was the focus 100%, and everybody was on board with that.
Right.
On planet Czarnia, it was a utopia. Everybody was happy. Nobody killed anybody. There was no crazy people. There was no poor people. And then Lobo's born. Murder hadn't happened in millennia, literally thousands of years.
So is this like a reflection on like Superman? You know, like so Superman is this pure light born into a violent world that's, you know, troubled, and he has to save it all the time. And
I never got Superman vibes in any way, shape, or form.
but I mean the opposite. So
Absolutely,
you would have this beautiful world that this very different kind of shining light is born into, and then it just wrecks shop.
Yeah, I guess if you want to look at the parallel in a reverse nature, you can say that, yeah. But, we get into that more a little bit in the first. I mean, that's basically it. This isn't a super dense story, and kind of like when I covered Wildcats, I think I did it wrong by skipping over it too much. So I'm going to try and go over this as much as I can. Okay. But it's really not all that dense. There's really not much to it. So
yeah, same era.
It's the same era. Yeah, absolutely same era. It's going for the same, humor, over the top, that kind of thing, action, And he was definitely part of that, gritty anti-hero wave of like Wolverine, how they turned Wolverine into the anti-hero. He's a bad boy that does good and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
But with Lobo, there's no good. So, and I don't, and like I think I told you, either it was last night when we were talking, or this isn't something that I would collect, which is new for me. I usually like something and it's like, okay, maybe I'll get a trade or a couple of single issues or something just to have them, but nah. The art is great, and we'll talk about that too. But Lobo didn't really do it for me personally, and we'll go over this. We'll start with the first issue here.
Got it. Okay, yeah, and I do love the art. Like some of those covers are
fantastic,
just bananas. Like those would be really cool pieces. But I didn't really know much about the story behind those covers.
Well, and different strokes for different folks. There's obviously he's popular. Obviously he has a huge fan base. He's made guest appearances across the DCU. Yeah. He's he even fought. I was reading earlier. He fought Wolverine. He ended up losing to Wolverine in their little crossover event because it was a fan voting kind of situations, and so the fans voted for Wolverine to win.
Nobody ever beats Wolverine.
Right. It's kind of his thing, right?
But I mean, from a fan perspective, like Wolverine's been the most popular character for
so long,
like a generation.
I know
he's never gonna lose. He's never gonna lose a popularity contest.
And it's with merit, right? Wolverine's awesome. It's just a really fun, exciting character. And so Lobo is trying to catch some of that lightning, capture some of that lightning, and kind of has the same style. His hair is even similar. It's jet black or kind of a pale blue, I guess, based off of the colors that they use, and it stands straight up, So he pulls inspiration from all over the place.
Yeah, he looks like
absolutely.
If the Crow was trying to put on a Wolverine costume.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's got the all white face. He's got. I haven't even found out if that's makeup or not.
I don't think so, because and we'll get into this later in the show. His daughter looks exactly like him. So I don't think it's makeup. I think it's
must be a Czarnian trait to have some kind of, like Darth Maul. They have, or maybe it's tattoos.
I think those are tattoos, aren't they?
They are tattoos.
Nerd alert.
Nerd alert. Yeah, Darth Maul. Those are tattoos. I can't remember if his skin was black with red tattoos or vice versa. Anyways, so the nature of his facial markings, I don't know exactly.
Okay.
They don't say anything in these books anyway.
So when they show him as a baby, like, or do they show him as like a little kid or anything?
Yeah, and you ask a good question, because throughout each issue there are like little page breaks or story breaks where it's like a full page of really dense character development. And in the first one it's a chapter 1, A Serpent in Eden, and it looks like kind of like a newspaper clipping, and it shows him with an umbilical cord still stuck to him as he gnawed off the fingers of his midwife. And there's blood all over the room, and then down in the corner there's a picture of him like toddler years. He's strapped with bullets, knives, guns, and he's riding his little tricycle. And he already has the facial markings. So based off of that, I'm gonna go with Born With It.
Okay.
It's not fucking Maybelline. He's born with it. So yeah, I think we just solved the mystery. Maybe we're wrong. I don't care.
All right.
Yeah. So the first book is called Portrait of a Psychopath, Chapter 1, Issue 1, and he just found out Lobo is sitting in a scrap heap. It looks like skulls and machinery, some kind of planet, and it's a great work of art. It's a great splash page. It's a full page of just Lobo sitting down, and he's talking to himself about how he can't believe that somebody would do what they have done, and that is write an unofficial biography of Lobo, the scourge of the cosmos. And that's what he says, hey, how can somebody be so bold as to write this crap about me, the assassin to royalty, the scourge of the cosmos? And behind him are a pack floating in the air of space dolphins.
Okay.
So he took these space dolphins under his wing. It's only mentioned, but apparently it's the only creatures in the whole universe that he's met that he actually cares about, because they're so pure. They're these are just the purest forms of life he's ever encountered, and so he has taken them under his wing because who else could protect them the way he could, right?
Sure.
They're literally just dolphins. There's nothing special or spacey about them. They're just flying in the air, behind him.
Do they have any like wiggly Kirby lines around them or anything, or
Nope,
are they just
dolphins?
Just dolphins.
Just dolphins floating in the air.
The artist of this book was like, I can do a good dolphin. Can
Yeah.
I put dolphins in it?
Yep, just dolphins. Gray bodied, typical dolphins.
He just like cut to the writer. He's at SeaWorld with his kids. He's like, yeah, I don't know, why not dolphins? They're kind of cool.
Could have been anything. Could have been space giraffes, but let's go with dolphins.
Well, DC already has Starro. They have their evil starfish, so there is precedent for
that's true.
Sea life going bad in space.
Yeah, spacefaring oceanic life forms. So Lobo, he sees this book and he decides he's going to kill the author because nobody gets away with talking shit, basically.
Fair.
But he gets a call, and it doesn't really show where he's at. It looks like just a scrap heap, but he hears a ringing from a door. So I guess this is his house. It's his own planet or a moon or something like that, because it also just looks like he's in space. So maybe it is just like a moon.
Okay. It's just like where he keeps all of his favorite skulls.
Probably, yeah. Or maybe it's just the random scrap he decided to, take up shop in. And that would make sense since his space dolphins can float around at will. So it's a perfect environment for them. So it's probably like a moon or something. But he gets a call, and it's from a guy named Vril Dox.
Ooh. And
he is basically this leader of a group called Legion, which stands for Licensed Extra-Governmental Interstellar Operatives Network.
All right. That works. That works. I like it.
Hey, it works.
Yeah.
It gets the job done, right? And so do they. It's a group of interstellar superheroes.
Oh, okay.
They are protectors of sorts, kind of like a Justice League, I guess.
Okay.
And Dox is the guy who is in charge. He's the boss man.
All right.
And Lobo works for him.
Oh, okay.
And it's strange. He's a mercenary type.
Oh, okay.
But he's also, like, throughout this, he was referred to as Officer Lobo. So, like, he's literally employed by Legion to get things done because he will do whatever, the contract pays for.
Got it. Okay, so it's not, like, really a group of superheroes. It's really just a group of, like, super-powered individuals who work for money.
It seems that way, yes.
Okay. All right.
And so Lobo is on the payroll from time to time, and Dox is like, he does not like Lobo. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So, anyways, Dox needs Lobo to do a job. And one thing to know about Lobo is that he keeps his word 100%.
Okay.
If he takes a contract, then he will finish that contract, right?
Okay.
But if somebody comes along, for example, and counters the contract with a higher price, he'll fulfill that instead. So he really will only be loyal to who's paying the highest price.
All right. There's some honor in that.
There's
It's a professionalism there.
But he will also not break a promise.
Okay.
So I can see how those two ideals might come into conflict in certain stories, where if he makes a promise to somebody but it goes against a contract, there might be a conflict there.
Right.
But I guess the most important point is that Lobo says what he's going to do, he will do it.
Okay.
And I guess that the writers might be trying to build him up as this loyal or seemingly loyal or can be loyal kind of character. But again, based off of his backstory, which we'll go over soon, it doesn't really work because he's awful. it's like, so what? He won't break a promise, but
right. Like
everything else he does is.
But all of his promises are awful, so we don't want him to fulfill them.
We don't want exactly.
But I can see it being written in as just like a writing challenge for the writers. Like, okay, here's the rules of this character. Because if it's just all bad all the time and he lies about everything, then you're always assuming the double cross. So if you establish these rules, okay, he can't break a promise, and he always fulfills his contract.
Right.
All right. So those are two things you can work with, because then you can build, some tension. You can build some conflicts. You can work off
it's
that.
automatic built-in drama for sure.
Right. Yeah. But if it's just like he'll lie to you and he's lazy and he won't finish the job, it's like, well, why are we watching? Like, who cares? he's gonna take the job and then fuck off and watch TV. Like I do that. I can just stay home and do that.
Well, Dox says, I need a prisoner escort. And Lobo's like, fuck that. You want me to do a prisoner escort? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, I don't want to waste my time.
Okay.
But he's like, no, you got to do it, right? I can't wait. You need to be the one to do it. And he says, Doc says, have you forgotten our physical debate? And he says, I believe I beat you fair and square.
Oh.
And so you need to do what I'm asking you to do. And so he kind of puts his head down. He's like, okay, sure, fine. And I don't recall seeing what that physical debate was. I didn't see the fight.
Okay.
They don't mention it again.
But what we know of this character, we kind of almost don't even need to see it. If it's like,
right,
all right, if this character goes, oh, all right, sorry, don't beat my ass again. You're like, oh shit, all right, well that other guy must be enormous.
Which is crazy because Lobo is written in such a way that his power kind of varies based off of what he needs it to be for.
Okay.
And so if this Dox guy beat him in a physical debate, quote unquote,
right,
like to me that means a fight.
Right.
And so like, geez, who's this real Dox guy? He must be ridiculously powerful since Lobo has been shown to go like toe to toe with Superman.
Right. Yeah, that was the first thing I thought. I was like, okay, well this must be a really tough character, especially if they're specific about a physical contest.
Right.
It wasn't like, hey, remember that blackmail I have on you, or remember I've got your eggs here, or whatever, or however his people reproduce.
Yeah, however it works.
It would be different, but if he was like, hey, do you want me to kick your ass again? No. All right, do it. Okay.
Yeah. And it just, these little story tidbits don't add up in my head the more I find out about Lobo.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like the physical debate in this wacky, zany kind of universe that they live in could have been a fucking thumb wrestling match.
That was what I was thinking too. Like it could have just been them kicking each other in the balls.
Yeah.
Just like seeing who dropped first.
Exactly. It's so who knows what that physical debate was.
Right.
So anyway, he lost this debate, and so he kind of, I guess, owes Dox, and he just needs to take this contract. He needs to do the job, and he needs to stop whining about it. And there's rules to this job. He needs him to go get the prisoner, obviously, but this prisoner must be delivered alive.
Ah, okay.
And I almost call him Deadpool. Lobo does not do alive very well. That's not his specialty. His specialty is absolute carnage, right? He'd rather just, oh, you need it delivered? Here, I'll just kill it, stuff it in my bag, and bring it to you.
Right.
That kind of guy, right?
Like you need it whole or in pieces. It's that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Right.
Does it do all pieces have to arrive, or do you just need, the head? Do
you want this in steaks or ground? Which one?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that creates a dilemma for Lobo because, he doesn't feel like he's a delivery boy. He also definitely doesn't feel like he needs to be worrying about somebody else's life, and it's just a headache.
Yeah, it's real bummer.
Alive, God, this sucks.
Yeah,
but I just got to do that. He calls it a milk run. Let's do this easy milk run, and just get it done with. Right. It turns out though that Doc's, he has a plan, and he sends Lobo off to pick up this prisoner. We find out that the prisoner is the person who wrote the unofficial Lobo biography in which all that shit was being talked about Lobo's character, right?
Right.
And when and here's at this point in the book, here's the first little snippet into his past about how he was born and where I get my Grinch vibe from.
Okay.
I'm not going to read the whole page, but it essentially says that when he was born, the midwife, used words that they don't even have words for, so nobody knew what she was talking about, calling him a devil, calling him evil and all this kind of stuff, the devil incarnate, and everybody's looking around like, what is she talking about? She's talking gibberish because these words mean nothing.
Right.
He proceeds to wreck faces, chew off her fingers, and she becomes the first mental patient on the history, or not the history, but like in 10 millennia or something like that of the planet. So just him being born created the Czarnia's first mentally incapacitated patient,
Wow.
So these people have to learn how to have grief and sadness and death and all this kind of stuff, right?
Just because of him.
Just because he was born different,
Wow.
not like them.
Wow.
And that
All
makes
right.
me think of the Grinch. I can't help but see the similarities.
I am not as familiar with the Grinch story. I didn't grow up with Christmas movies, and I don't know if
That's
I've
true,
seen
right.
it. So
The Grinch is a
yeah, give us a quick background of the Grinch. If someone's like me and they grew up under a rock, give us a quick background of the Grinch.
he is a Who.
Okay.
Born into Whoville. It's just basically a town that is located on the tip of a snowflake, or on an entirety of a snowflake, right?
Aw, that's sweet.
And the whole town, the whole of Whoville loves Christmas. And when the Grinch is born, he not only looks different because he's, everybody knows what the Grinch looks like. He's
Yeah.
tall and hairy.
Looks like Jim Carrey.
Looks like Jim Carrey with or without the green hair. And he hates Christmas and he hates other Whos. And so he's completely opposite. Everybody in Whoville lives their whole life for Christmas, year round. Christmas, Christmas, Christmas. And everything is a build up to Christmas Day. And the Grinch was bullied as a child, and he was completely shunned. He's a black sheep of the community because he is so different and he hates them. So he leaves town and lives up on a hill, and he just looks down on the town all the time in disgust. Now you take that character,
Okay.
and you put him on a planet that's a utopia. So instead of
And a
Whos,
giant motorcycle.
that's a giant motorcycle, yeah. And so instead of just not liking the Whos, he kills them all.
Oh, that's a
Every
different.
single Czarnian.
Is that not how the Grinch ends?
That is not how the Grinch ends. No, the Grinch.
It doesn't end in genocide.
No. The Grinch. He comes around.
Okay.
He understands by the end of the story the love and the family and the Christmas spirit, and he gets he becomes part of the Whoville and is happily ever after,
Got
or
it.
until the snowflake hits the ground.
I was gonna say, like, that seems like a quick. Like, no wonder they love Christmas. They have like 10 seconds. Like,
Yeah,
and it's winter. Go for it.
their time is a little different than our time.
Sure. Got it.
But yeah, no, the Grinch ends in a very happy way, and Czarnia, unfortunately, does not. I'll go over that here in a second.
Okay.
So we find out a little bit about his birth. It didn't go well.
Yeah.
We find him on the planet to pick up this prisoner, and it's a Legion holding prison. So this is a place for the person who just
Okay.
set this contract. It's their own jail system on a planet called, I'm going to guess, Oneida 6.
Okay.
And he's talking to this guy. He looks like the warden. He's a head in a robot body.
Okay. Cool.
And he's not impressed with Lobo. This, you're nothing special. Just shut up and let's go get your prisoner. And talking shit, getting on Lobo's nerves. They get into the elevator to go down to where the prisoner's being held, and when the door is open, the warden's suddenly dead. Don't know why. He keeled over from a heart attack or something.
Okay.
Lobo says, "Oh, miss, I think the chief just had a heart attack or something else of a fatal nature." So again, this is, there was no reason to kill this guy other than the fact that he annoyed Lobo. Right?
Right. Got it.
Not a bad guy. He's literally a prison warden. Maybe he is a bad guy. Wardens are traditionally bad people in comics and movies and stuff.
Yeah. Maybe it's like your Shawshank Redemption, warden.
Sure.
Coming.
Sure. They're often, made out to be horrible, nasty people. But we don't know that about this guy. He might be a little crass in the way he's speaking, but doesn't deserve death based off of what I've seen, right? But Lobo kills him anyway. So he goes to the holding cell to find out just who this special, what's so fantastic about this damn prisoner that has to be alive, pain in the ass. And we find out that it is, lo and behold, another Czarnian.
Oh.
Before we find out who's in the cell, we find out about a gang called the Sons of Lobo. It's kind of like a Lobo fan club.
Right. It's like Sons of Anarchy.
Right. And they all drive, space cycles and all this kind of stuff. The leader, his name is Sickbag.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And they're actually tearing up a bookstore that's selling the unofficial biography of Lobo.
Okay. So they're with him. They aren't fans of the biography. They're supporting the big man himself. Right.
Lobo is their leader. They're like, how dare you spread this filth about, my main man, Lobo. He's the best. You guys suck. So they're just, they're killing people. There's a dude with a sledgehammer hitting people in the back of the head.
Okay.
So they're tearing this place apart. And, they're all about making sure people respect the name Lobo.
Okay.
Lobo is the man.
Right. Catch a sledgehammer to the back of the head. You will never forget the name Lobo. You'll forget everything else, but you'll never forget the name Lobo.
You'll forget to breathe forever, too, with the way they're hitting. They decide that just tearing up the bookstore is not enough. So they decide to go after the person who wrote it. And they saw the news that she was arrested, this person, right? Okay. And so they decide to go after her. They're going to head to the planet that she's located on because they know where it's at, Oneida 6 or whatever.
Right.
And so they blow up the bookstore and say, screw this bookstore crap. We're going to go after this chick. Okay. So they speed off, and that's where we get another one of those breaks in the story with a full page kind of explanation of what's going on.
Okay.
And again, I won't read the whole thing, but it starts with the question, what's 117 microns long, airborne, of scorpion-like appearance and burrows into flesh, causing great black blisters and severe blood poisoning over a prolonged period before resulting in agonizing and messy death.
I'm going to put Jeopardy music under this.
That's a great idea because the Czarnians didn't know either.
Okay.
And it goes on to explain that Lobo's a genius, but only when it comes to things of the chaotic and destructive nature. And so he took it upon himself to create this thing that is 117 microns long, airborne, burrows into flesh, and causes agonizing, messy death. And he unleashes it. This is where we find out across the entirety of Czarnia. And he kills every single one.
Whoa. Wait, so he genetically engineers his own death
plague.
Causing plague?
Death scorpion plague.
What the fuck? How old is he at this point? Is he an adult?
He's in his late teens.
Oh my goodness.
At this point.
Wow. He's like the evil Reed Richards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, instead of helping, he's hurting. No, yes.
Right. Wow.
So in his mind, he wanted to be unique. It's only mentioned once, how he killed all of Czarnia. He made them an extinct species other than himself, purely for the fact that he wanted to be unique,
Wow.
And that's not redeemable.
No. That's narcissism on a scale unknown up to this point.
A planetary scale.
Wow.
Literally kills everything.
Wow.
And he also finds out that so he did like one Czarnian. Her name was Daleen Zand.
Okay.
And she made him feel a certain funny way in his pants, like climbing the rope in gym class. And he found out that as he sat back and watched billions and billions upon billions of his fellow Czarnians die, that watching that happen made him feel the same way as Daleen Zand.
No. Oh, no.
Only several billion times better.
Oh, that's a bad sign.
Right.
That's not going to be good for anybody.
So our boy Lobo here really likes to murder.
All right.
Right. So that's why I don't get the fan base. Like I always knew about Lobo, but I never read any of it. And everybody who's a fan just loves this guy. It's like, why?
And it's not, and that's interesting coming from you, because it's not like you're like, puritanical in your taste. Like, you love Evil Ernie, you love Lady Death, Preacher. Like we got into some dark stuff, but like, you like those characters.
Yeah,
I mean, those are,
I do.
Yeah.
There's something about this guy that just it comes from. I think that all those other characters, they come from a messed up place.
Okay.
They come from some kind of trauma, and there's usually resolutions or good reasons as to why they turn on people, right?
Right.
When it comes to Preacher,
Yeah.
you know how he was raised.
Right. Yeah, there's abuse there, and then Evil Ernie, he's actually dead. Like
It's
yeah, but like those characters, but you can. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, you can get away with having a dark character that's likable.
Sure.
But yeah, for some reason, this is the too far. It's like we've gone over a lot of characters, but we read this, and it's like, yeah, no, this one's not. Like, this one doesn't do it.
And it's weird to me because you're right. I should like this guy, but I don't. Like, based off of, again, just these 4 issues, I don't like this.
And I'm not even saying that
origin.
you should. I think it's interesting that you don't. Like, it's like, because if you only read Tintin and Archie and stuff, and then you read this and you're like, this is too
Right.
much, then I'd say, well, yeah, this isn't for you. But you tend towards the darker stuff. You like that stuff, and
Right.
the fact that this is even a character that's too far for you. Like, you have a very nuanced and knowledgeable background in these types of characters. So this is geared toward you, but they still didn't pull it off.
They didn't pull it off
Yeah.
for me. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think maybe it's just because he was like born bad,
Yeah.
And
I mean, if there's nothing
he-
to pull from at all, like if there's
Yeah.
no bright spots anywhere to pull from, it's like, why am I watching this?
Yeah. He was just born, to kill. And I
Yeah.
guess that's where they lose me. Whereas I liked my characters more damaged and they have a reason to do what they're doing.
Right.
Like you could call the Crow a horrible murderer, but like you look at what happened and it's
Right.
like, oh, I get it.
Yeah,
I
there's
get where that could come from.
There's a catalyst for that
Right,
you can understand,
right.
that you can empathize with. Right.
Yeah. Lobo was born to literally paradise.
He's doing it just to hurt people. Like, there's no
Literally.
right.
Yeah. From the minute he's out of the womb,
Yeah.
he's hurting folks. And so it makes it not like fun.
Yeah, it does. It sucks the air out of it, because there's
Yeah.
no part of you is like, oh, I can see myself doing that. It's like, ew, no.
No.
You're like,
It's-
Thanos is a good villain. It's like, yeah, he's doing genocide on massive scales, but like, he's nuanced. You can kind of, well, I guess better in the movies. In the comics, he was just like, I love death and I have a hard on.
He
for
was
death.
in love with death, literally courted death. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, maybe that's
The
bad
movies,
example.
he's definitely different.
Yeah, he's much more political in the movies. Like,
Oh, yeah.
in the comics, he's just like, I want death to like me, so I'm gonna murder everybody.
Instead of bringing flowers, he brought the souls of billions. Yes.
Yeah. Spoiler alert: she still didn't care. So all you neckbeard incels out there, it's not gonna work.
Yes. Yeah. Comic spoiler alert. Death doesn't fucking care.
Nope.
She's just wondering why you're still alive.
It's also not a she with a big rack. Like, that's just Marvel. Like, it's not gonna work.
So back to the story.
Yeah.
He finds out who this prisoner is, and the prisoner is another Czarnian, like I had said earlier,
yeah.
before forgetting everything else I just talked about. He
Well, do you want me to re-edit it? Like, do you want to start?
no, you can leave it.
Okay.
I don't mind.
Okay.
It's his 4th grade teacher. Yep. Miss Tribb. Her name is Miss Tribb, and she's a very, very old lady at this point. She may have been a very old lady since they were mortal, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
She looks ancient,
And this might be where you and I split, because I have very, very bad memories of my fourth grade teacher who was a mean old lady. So this might be where you and I split, where I'm like, all right, I'm Team Lobo. Let's see what happens.
I think it's easy to hate this woman. That's for sure.
Okay.
She's a very, very nitpicky, naggy old lady.
Okay.
And she probably, she hated Lobo immediately, just like everybody else on Czarnian.
Yeah.
But again, you can try and pull, because he was so different. Mm-hmm. He can try and pull some tragedy out of his past, but no. He was a bad kid. He was a bad teenager. He's a bad adult. Like, he didn't even try to fit in. He was hurting people just to hurt people from day one. So everybody disliked him for very, sympathetic reasons. He was a monster.
Right. My teacher just didn't like children. So I think she was probably fine to everybody else. But yeah, she hated children. But I do have her to thank for my career in IT and my love of computers in general, because she hated me, and she also hated the computer we just got in our classroom. And her brilliant plan was to make me figure out how to use the computer off in a corner where we wouldn't be seen. And that was a semester of fourth grade was me figuring out how to turn the computer on and get it to run a program. So
that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, 30 some odd years later. Yeah, thanks a lot. I was fixing computers the whole rest of my life.
That's pretty awesome, actually.
I don't think it was intended to be awesome. I think it was intended to get us out of her hair.
Good way to rub it in. Yeah. Lobo's distraught by this.
Okay.
Not happy. He thought he killed them all. And for the one to be left, it had to be Miss Tribb, his fourth grade freaking teacher.
Yeah.
This can't be happening to me. I'm Lobo. I killed all the Czarnians. I couldn't have missed her, not her.
Right.
I couldn't have, right? Like, how could he have missed Miss Tribb?
Listen, those are the ones that are like cockroaches, man. Those mean fourth grade teachers, they will never go.
And she takes him to task as much as possible. She's like, well, thank you very much. Still rude as ever, I see. Right. So she's very like naggy, motherly hen kind of, just nitpick. Right. Mm-hmm. So he hates her just like he hates all Czarnians, but her especially.
She gets extra double plus one hate.
Exactly. Absolutely. And now remember, though, he has promised Docs alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
He can't do anything to her. He cannot kill her. He has to get her there alive. And if he takes a contract or makes a promise, it's going to happen, right?
Yeah. And that's that writer's tool I was talking about. Like, 'cause if it was just a bad person who was just bad,
right,
then Lobo would have just pulled her out of prison, snapped her neck, and then just walked away. But
exactly,
if you build that in, all right, now you've got your conflict. Now you've got your story arc.
And they made sure to have Docs repeat himself many times. Alive, alive, alive.
There's a new short attention span comic reader. Alive. Got it?
And so he gives him a call back, and he's like, you bastard, how'd you manipulate me like this? And he's like, hey, chill out. Alive, remember?
Because it was funny.
Well, he keeps repeating it. Alive. So he is literally pounding his head on the computer because he's so pissed off. And we cut there, actually. This is near the end of the issue. And we cut to these little old grannies sitting around having like tea.
Okay.
And they're like, my word. Right. Oh my word. The unauthorized biography of Lobo. And they're like, oh dear. Oh my word. She's the one who wrote this filth. Oh my word. Right. So this book must be filled with all of Lobo's, exploits in murder and sex and rock and roll, and just being, the scourge of the cosmos, as he likes to put it. And so these little old biddies, they're like, this cannot stand. We can't stand for this.
Okay.
We can't stand by while this hussy writes this pornography.
Oh, I haven't heard that term in a while.
Hussy, yes. She's a hussy. And so, little old lady one stands up and says she's calling Gladys and Phyllis out of retirement. It is time to go inflict some morals on these people.
Oh, snap. Those are some powerful old lady names.
They are They're members of the Legion of Decency.
Oh.
And they decide to suit up and head out in search of Miss Tribb, the author, the hussy author of this pornography that is the unofficial biography of Lobo.
When was the PMRC popular? When was that going on?
Oh, I don't know.
85. The Parents Music Resource Center was formed in
Oh, my
1985 with the stated goal of increasing parental control over the access of children to music deemed to have violent, drug-related, or sexual themes via labeling albums with parental advisory stickers. That has got to be who this is referencing.
It has to be. Because that's exactly what they are. There's these little bitty old ladies that just look at everybody and everything and just be like, nope, that is disgusting pornography. It is warping the minds of everybody, and we can't stand for it.
Oh, man. Awesome.
So this is the first group to catch wind. Or no, I'm sorry. This is the second group to catch wind of this Miss Tribb in this book. And she needs to be stopped. So remember, we have the Sons of Lobo that we had mentioned earlier, racing off to find her. Now we have the Grannies of Doom racing off to find her as well.
Led by Tipper Gore and the Grannies of Doom are going after Lobo, D. Snyder, and Frank Zappa.
Oh man, D. Snyder would fit in this book so well, just the way he looks.
Hey, look, everybody! It's Twisted Sisters, D. Snyder.
It would so work. D. Snyder could play Miss Tribb.
Yeah.
Like, for real. Look it up. Like, look up.
I did know. That's yes, absolutely. There you go.
He totally could.
D is a new to get you into the DC cinematic universe.
And it would be funny because he's from Twisted Sister, and now he's playing this school marmy old Miss Tribb. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, you could do him up to look like Tipper Gore, like who he was fighting against in those hearings.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a great idea.
All right, call us, D. Snyder. Not that we can do anything, but just call us anyway. We'd love to hear from you.
Oh, jeez. So he slaps her on the back of his space hog, and it's a Czarnians can live in the vacuum of space because they're out in space flying across the void of the expanse, and they're not in any kind of protection. Neither is she. It's just they're just out in space.
Right, because
so
drives
these Czarnians really are something else.
He drives like a space motorcycle, right? Like it's just like a big.
He calls it his space hog.
If I bought 3, 2, 1, you baby, I'm Space Hog.
I love that band, Space Hog.
It can go very, very fast, like several times the speed of light or something like that. Like, it's a ridiculous bike, right?
Got it.
And she's on the back just giving him grief, and he's biting his lip. He's saying kill, rend, destroy, frag. Like his murderous energy is just building and building and building as he's going across, taking her where she needs to go.
Right.
They stop at a space truck stop. He's, sits her down at a table, says, I'll be right back, fucking shut the hell up. I'll be back. He's got to go drain the main vein, basically, right? Don't try to escape. And while he's in there, she, Miss Tribb, this smarmy, snooty teacher, starts to comment on the truckers there and how they're she says, there's no such word as ain't, right? So she starts correcting these people.
Did she bust out a red pen? Start making corrections.
I'd close the book and never read
it. We'll have to get into that someday. We'll talk about it on the show someday. But yeah, if you ever need Jeremy to quickly leave the room, circle some kind of typo or alleged mistake in red pen, and you'll never see him again.
This right here, red pen is two fucking spaces to the top too close. No,
I asked for a 6-point border. This is obviously a 4-point border. I'm sending it back.
How about I murder your face off?
All right, sorry. Didn't want to take you down that dark road.
Oh man, I haven't thought about her in forever. So Lobo's in the bathroom, and he's just like he's putting water on his face. He's just like, fuck, I can't take this shit. And he hears this crash from outside. And so he rushes back out, and he sees that one of the truckers, whose name is Elvis, and has he has a look according to the name.
Nice.
He's a trucker. He's got his trucker friends all around him. And he's holding Miss Tribb, and she's still talking shit. And he's just like, nobody talks about us that way. And then she was like, she's talking shit about their mothers not raising good children and all this kind of stuff. And Lobo walks up and kisses Elvis on the cheek and says, "Party's over, Elvis." And he just starts to wreck faces. Interestingly enough, it doesn't seem like he kills any of these folks. He's mildly, upset. And so he starts to beat him up.
He needed to let off some steam.
Absolutely.
like it's been percolating for a bit. So unfortunately, now could this? They say that Elvis didn't die and went off to space. Could this actually be Elvis? Did he become a space trucker?
Yes, I think that is a perfectly reasonable
Awesome
place for him to have ended up. I mean, the similarities are obviously uncanny. Okay. So I think you're right.
Okay, cool. All right. That is now canon.
It is now canon. Earth canon, Lobo canon, absolutely.
Yes.
So Elvis, the real Elvis, he proceeds to get his ass absolutely wrecked by Lobo. Not killed, though. None of these guys actually get killed. I don't know why. I think it's because they were annoyed by Miss Tribb, and so he kind of is like, I get it.
Sure.
She's awful, and so I'm not going to kill you.
Right. I don't blame you.
I don't, right. He sympathizes, but I'm still going to mess you up because I have to bring this chick in, basically alive.
Yeah.
Miss Tribb is in the background. Ugh, such behavior. So we cut over to Vril Docks, and he's talking to some of his underlings, and we find out that he's got a bit of a plan going on here.
Okay.
And things are going, as of right now, they're going better than he could have expected. The Legion of Decency is now on the tail. We got the sons of Lobo are showing up. That's not exactly who he'd want to show up to, into his little plan that he's got going on, but it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
So far, so good, right?
Okay.
It's going better than he ever dreamed, he says.
Okay.
And that's the end of the chapter. This second issue is called Lord of the Dance. And
man, this is just rich with 90s references. Man.
Oh, yeah, I know, huh? Lord of the Dance was awesome.
Michael Flatley or something?
Michael Flatley, Lord of the Dance.
Oh, man.
Before that, he was with Riverdance. Yeah. I love Riverdance. So powerful with all the flailing legs.
Oh, yeah. Never move your upper body.
It's awesome. So they stop at a hotel. She's making this trip very, very long. She's constantly got to stop. He mentions at some point something that would take a 7-hour trip is turning into this marathon. So they stop at a hotel.
Right. Have you ever been on a long drive with an old person?
Long.
It takes forever.
Long drive. Yeah. Or, they're going across galaxy. We're planet to planet.
On a motorcycle.
Right. Just, it must be hell for her.
Yeah.
Even worse for Lobo.
At least there's no wind, right?
Yeah, there's no wind.
So that's nice. It's cold. There's no wind at least, so.
And they seem to be perfectly fine with it. There's no Star Trek talk here. It's just open space. There's nothing in the way.
Right.
There's no deflector shields mentioned once.
Gotcha.
I think one of the only things that I saw them say that was like science fiction-y was like hyperspace near the end of the 4 issues,
Well, remember the Borg can live outside in space.
Yes, they can.
So
that's very true.
There is, if you want to go Star Trek, there is precedent. But it is there.
It is there. It very much is there. Yeah, because they're not really alive, so they don't need the air. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Star Trek nerds might actually get mad at what I just said, but
anyway, I just wanted to flex that little muscle real quick.
That's a discussion for another time.
That's hate mail for another episode.
No shit, right? So we're at a seedy hotel in a seedy town on a seedy world. The seeds of psychotic violence are sown, right? So this is not a good place. You can imagine Miss Tribb is going to have a few things to say, right?
Right.
He sets her into this room and says, "Don't you frickin' leave. Don't go anywhere." And he's talking actually to somebody, his little pal named Gus.
Okay. And
I get the impression here that Gus is a sometimes helper of Lobo. Like this is a hotel that he takes people to, and Gus helps him out from time to time.
Okay.
And he's warning him, don't fuck this up. I've had a bad day. And he's like, no sweat, sir. You got it. This will be no problem. It turns out to be a problem. Yeah. Poor Gus. You'll find out.
Aw.
So, Lobo is the reason why he's having Gus watch over Miss Tripp is because he's got to go call in. Docs has asked for updates if they have to stop, right? So call in, give me updates, tell me what's going on. So he goes downstairs to make a phone call, murders the attendant at the front desk. Because he said, all right, stop. It's a bell, not a bloody jukebox, moron. So
hey.
Lobo destroys the bell and then murders the bell guy.
Okay.
Yeah, blood all over the computer as he's making his call.
Hey, there's no reason to be rude in customer service. I worked customer service a long time. No need to be rude, or else sometimes
Lessons learned.
you're killed with a bell.
Yeah, lessons learned. It's too bad. Lobo makes his call. He's very frustrated, and still Docs is like, I don't care, just alive.
Right.
Bring her back alive. That's obviously starting to become this this part of the plan.
Right.
You got to keep Lobo frustrated. He's got to be, in this predicament that he's not used to. Gets him off his game, throws him off. He's frustrated and angry, and he can't think straight. This is all part of Doc's plan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, forcing somebody like Lobo to keep their word and bring somebody in alive is tough. It's hard for Lobo,
And especially for who it is. I mean, if it was just some regular annoying bounty, you get over it. But there's the personal attack of not only is it a surviving Czarnian, which he didn't think existed because he thought he did a really good job,
right?
but it's someone he also hates.
So
Hates. It's like three, compounded on top. Like he can't put any physical harm. His failure's staring him in the face, and she's not even scared of him.
Exactly. Yeah. She's not. She gives no fucks about who he is. That's for sure.
She's a 1-star reviewer on Yelp. Like she is just
absolutely.
on a rampage.
Yep. And that's obviously got him worked up. He's not thinking
I can see that.
correctly. So he goes back to the room and he realizes after 5 freaking minutes they're already gone. And he busts down the door and sees there's a little note to him left by Gus saying they've gone to the opera. You see, Lobo doesn't need a note though, because Lobo has a superhuman power of being able to basically sniff somebody out literally planets away. Across the universe, for the most part. For all intents and purposes, it's described as like being able to sniff out somebody's aura. He can track them anywhere as long as he's met them.
Right. Wow. That is a powerful but seemingly inconvenient power. Like I don't want to be smelling stuff different planets away.
And now, Saturn. Pine needles. Oh, man, this is great. Hey, as long as you don't make me smell your anus.
I don't get it.
I'm sorry, Fry, but astronomers renamed Uranus in 2620 to end that stupid joke once and for all.
Oh, what's it called now?
Urectum.
Constantly, all the time. Yeah. So he doesn't need this note, but he reads the note and he heads off. And he finds them in the opera. Oh, I'm sorry. Right before he makes it to the opera, we get a couple little cutscenes of some of the other groups that are following him.
Right, yeah.
So we find out that the warden / police chief that he killed at the Legion prison, the head and the robot in the elevator.
Robot Nixon?
Robot Nixon. Yeah. Similar, not the same.
Okay.
There's a new police chief, and his name is Chief Rex. He's a big dinosaur alien guy, and he's getting a report that Lobo murdered him. It wasn't an accident or anything like that. It's a psychopath, and Rex is pissed. Chief Rex, he's mad. So now you've got Chief Rex with the Oneida 6 police force after him as well. Okay. So now that's the third group.
Third group, yeah, raising the stakes.
Oneida Police, the Sons of Lobo, the
PMRC.
and then the Legion of Decency. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, and now the very next page, we find out that the truckers are pissed that they got their ass whipped.
Oh.
So now we have the space truckers as well.
So Elvis
Yeah.
is not taking his beating lying down? Like he's going to...
No.
He wants a little more...
He had his
little less
peanut butter
conversation,
banana
a little
sandwich
more
ruined.
Action.
Yeah.
We're both trying to like quickly come up with competing Elvis puns.
It's really easy to make puns on Elvis, but yeah.
All right. So Elvis and the gang not happy with their bruised egos.
No.
So they're joining the group?
Humiliated. So they're not having any of it, and they are speeding off in the direction that they went as well.
All right.
So as Lobo and Miss Tribb are making their way to Legion HQ, he's making all these enemies, right? There's all these groups of folks are getting riled up because of either him or Miss Tribb.
Right.
And all of these groups of folks are after them, right?
Right.
And Legion HQ is kind of in a remote area. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. So a collateral damage kind of situation, right?
Got it.
Not a worry for Vril Dox, who's in charge of Legion.
Got it.
So we're starting to kind of understand that, having all these people follow him is part of the plan.
Got it. Okay.
And more groups than he thought are after him, and that's great.
Okay.
So
And that explains why he wasn't worried about the Sons of Lobo joining in. Because if you're just looking for more chaos, like, okay, yeah, come on by.
yeah, and I think that they would be a minor nuisance. Lobo doesn't care about them. That's not his gang.
Right.
So Lobo himself would probably kill a few of them just because they were there.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I can
If
totally.
things go down, yeah, sure, they might try and protect Lobo, but Lobo's not going to care. He's going to call them idiots and murder them
It's
too.
just human
Like, what are you
shields.
thinking?
It's fine.
There's only one Lobo. He killed a whole civilization just to be the unique guy in the universe.
Except for this old lady who's strapped to the back of my motorcycle.
Exactly.
Being her.
So he tracks her down with his superpower. Again, didn't need that note, but he follows them to the ballet, and the ballet is called.
I thought you said it was the opera earlier.
Oh, I'm sorry, the opera, ballet,
Whatever.
He calls it the ballet. I called it the opera. It's theater, dance theater. So I guess that's the ballet.
All right. Yeah. They're going to fancy pants stuff.
You fancy pants, exactly. To be specific, the Pan Galactic Demolition Dance Company in Rhapsody in Chainsaws. That's the show that they're going to go see. And Mrs. Tribb is excited. She hasn't been to theater in a long.
Panic at the Disco album is Rhapsody and Chainsaws.
Shit. Gus and Mrs. Tribb are sitting in their seats waiting for the show to start. And, he's up on one of those like balcony seats, and he looks down and he sees them. He finds them. And you see here, Miss Tribb is thanking Gus. She says she's heard so much about the world, about your world's dancers. And it's so nice of you to accompany me, Gus. And he's like, my pleasure. Glad you told me Lobo wouldn't mind him being a dance fan and all.
Got it.
So Miss Tribb lied to Gus,
Right.
saying that, it's fine.
Right.
He's a dance fan. He won't mind if you take me to the ballet. Let's get the hell out of here. So Gus, hey, he's just a trusting fool, because right after he says, hey, my pleasure, this is fantastic, I have nothing to worry about, Lobo proceeds to kill the two people that tried to take where he was standing, because he was in their seats. So he kills them first.
Sure.
And then the ballet starts. So while Lobo's killing these two people that were trying to just sit in their seats, right?
Right.
The ballet starts, and it's bullets and chainsaws and dodging fire and lopping off heads. And Mrs. Tribb was not expecting that. She thought she was going to get traditional ballet. And what she got instead was like
Cirque du Soleil in Las Vegas. I think I've seen this show.
Yeah, but like the Running Man kind of stuff, it's like murder ball.
No, that is a Cirque du Soleil show now. It's new. They take someone from the audience and put him in a big ball and kill him.
Oh, fuck.
It's terrifying, but it's beautiful.
So she's not
It's
happy.
set to the Monkees music.
Oh, Jesus. Hey. Anyways. Gus is excited. He's like, this is great. He's seen the show before and he's having a great time. Mrs. Tribb is super not impressed. And he says, sure hope Lobo shows up soon because he's going to miss the good parts. And just as that happens, Lobo jumps from the balcony and crushes poor Gus.
Aww.
Just crushes him. Splats him on the ground. It says squish, right? Nasty. And she's like, you've just squished that poor man. And he's like, I ought to fuck you up, right? And then the audience member starts clapping for Lobo.
It seems in line with the show.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was more exciting than what was on stage. So they stopped watching the stage and started clapping for him.
Wow.
And he's like, this is kind of cool. Like, I could get used to this. This is kind of a neat show, right? As he's dragging Mrs. Tribb by her hair out of the theater,
wow.
the dancers, the ballet troupe, they shoot a shot at him and it grazes his face. And they're like, nobody upstages us. Right, so they're mad that he interrupted the show and got more of an applause than they were getting.
That's tough. When your show is based around firearms and chainsaws, and someone else outdoes you in the first 10 seconds of your show, that's tough. That's tough to come back from.
That is. People are going to be wanting more of that, and these posers up on stage are not happy about it.
Right. As a performer, I'm kind of siding with them on this one.
It sucks to be upstaged, right? So, by the way, if you don't know what Lobo looks like, he, very kind of a, leather wearing, skulls, chains kind of look. And he has on his right hand is an armful of chain. And at the end of that chain is a hook. Mm-hmm. So he grabs that hook and he spits on it. So he's like, okay, finally get to really do some damage, right?
Oh, that's kind of cool and kind of gross.
It's like we mentioned before, the art is very cool. The character designs are really fun. The colors are very vibrant, and all of the fighting and gore scenes are really well done. The art's fantastic. So these next few pages is of him just tearing these people apart, literally ripping faces off.
And I also I wanted to point out before I forgot that I think it's interesting that the Miss Tribb had a chance to escape but didn't.
Yeah.
She convinced the porter guy, hey, just take me to a play. They could have, she could have ran for it or, got off world or something, but it's I'll just go. I'll just go watch some people.
It's got to go to theater. Priorities. She's on a new planet, new theater experiences to be had. So, hey, priorities.
I'm with her because, she would have got caught immediately. So at least, enjoy your time.
Exactly.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. I'm just going to go down the street. It's fine.
Just going to go bop down the road and go watch a play.
Yeah, it's cool.
Well, he ruins her time, that's for sure.
Yeah.
As he murders the entire dance troupe, and the crowd just loves it. They say magic, pure magic, and then he calls them wimps as he slings her over his shoulder and walks out.
All right.
Yeah. Pretty rough day for old Gus, though. He was he was totally innocent. He was tricked by Miss Tribb. She straight up lied.
Yeah.
And he was like, sure, let's go out for a fun time. And Lobo will show up and enjoy the dancing too. And then all of a sudden.
He did. That part wasn't a lie.
It's true. He did.
He did eventually show up. He probably did enjoy it.
So the last few pages of issue 2 is really just kind of talking or showing you where everybody's at who's on the hunt for Lobo or on the hunt for Miss Tribb. And we see the sons of Lobo, and we see the Oneida. Anyways, police force. They're on the trail. They're getting close. We see the the Legion of Decency. They're in this big ship. It's all grannies. It's all old white-haired grannies. And every station, all the guns, everything is all grannies. And this ship is huge. It's as big as a moon, right?
And it's driving 15 miles under the speed limit and with one blinker on.
Right. The entire time. Make the left turn already. But this ship is huge, and it's basically just a big flying gun. Right, these grannies don't mess around, and it's all still. This is all still going just fine. Docs is very, very pleased with how things are going. It doesn't matter that there's innocent people being murdered along the way. He is going where he needs to go, Lobo that is, and all of the people that he wants there at the same time are going to be there at the same time. So he's happy.
All right.
Dox is he's having a good time with this.
Right on. Okay.
And now we're into issue 3, and issue 3 is called Spell or Die. And this issue starts out a little bit different than the last two. It starts off with Lobo vanishing, and Dox is talking to some of his crew, and he's like, people don't just vanish, especially people like Lobo.
Yeah.
Where the hell did he go? Where is he? Right? And so he's screaming at everybody because now his plan is not going well. He doesn't know what the hell happened. He's just gone.
Okay.
And so is Miss Trib.
Okay.
He's pestering his crew, trying to find answers, and he's just running around pissed, right? Come to find out that they were gassed when he was like, oh yeah, that's another thing I should mention, that Lobo is a little susceptible to chemical weapons.
Oh, okay.
So you toss a sleeping, like a knockout juice kind of gas bomb, he's susceptible to that. So chemical warfare apparently is something he's not so good at resisting.
Okay.
It doesn't kill him, but if it's meant to knock him out, it'll knock him out kind of
Right,
deal.
but he doesn't need to breathe.
Right, he doesn't.
Whatever, it's fine.
Stop thinking about plot holes.
Never mind. It's the 90s.
Plot armor is written when it needs to be written. All right, pal.
Got it.
So they show up. Okay, so Dox and his Legion people, they don't know where he's at.
Okay.
We find Lobo and Miss Trib on this huge, massive ship, just floating who knows where.
Okay.
And he's yelling at her for not speaking up about seeing the ship in the distance when he was relieving himself. I guess off the back of his bike. I don't really know.
I could totally see like them in space, 3-dimensional space, somehow pulling over and putting down the kickstand, and
Right.
having the bike just stand there, and then him like walk off it and then pee. Like I could totally see that playing out.
Yeah, or maybe like a pit stop on a moon, right?
There you go. Yeah. Some kind of asteroid, some asteroid truck stop.
Yeah, because there's asteroids, moons,
Sure.
in the vastness of space,
Sure.
just wherever you need it to be. Kind of like in Star Trek. There's always an M-class planet somewhere.
Right. Whenever the plot needs it, there's always an M-class planet somewhere.
And just so happened to be gassed while he's relieving himself.
Got it.
And she didn't say anything, right? But in this first panel that we see them together, Mrs. Trib is missing her legs.
Oh, okay. She wasn't missing them before, right?
She was not.
Okay.
She was able to walk. She was able to take herself wherever she needed to go.
Okay.
And that turned out to be a problem because Gus was able to walk her down the street.
That's true. So do we know if Lobo took her legs?
Lobo has removed her legs. Lobo has decided that I keep hitting my mic this episode because they heal and can regenerate and can even clone themselves,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
He's like, hey, she's not dead.
Oh God.
Nobody can get mad at me
No.
for removing this biddy's legs because that's just her having legs is a pain in the ass. So he takes her legs off and they're arguing and she's pissed, obviously, right?
Well, yeah.
And they're trying to figure out how to get out of here. And, here's another very rare occurrence where it talks a little bit sci-fi-y.
Okay.
Where she's like, can't you just break through the walls, dummy? And he's like, not so easy. That's a bonding wall. It's keyed to our nervous system.
Okay.
There's not a lot of sci-fi talk in this. So that's really rare when they talk like that.
It sticks out.
It sticks out. It really does. Because, it's frag this and frag that. And, everybody speaks like aliens out of heavy metal, just made up words that mean nothing.
Right.
Every character is some kind of, if it's an alien wearing a trucker hat. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's not a lot of space talk, not a lot of tech talk.
Got it.
As they're discussing this, they get gassed again. And we see these guys in red hoods, kind of like Inquisition style.
Okay.
Red robes, red hoods. And they say his grammar is absolutely atrocious. All too typical of the modern age, the other guy says. And then they say the legless one shows promise, and only the sacred bee will tell, and the bee is BEE in quotes.
Okay.
Ready them for their audition for the competition starts soon.
Okay.
And then the very next panel is Lobo coming to, and he's tied up amongst, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other people.
Okay.
And they're all tied to the same spots, right? They all have their little, basically a row of chained up people, and they're all standing on a pad. She's on a chair because she's now legless.
Okay.
And on the wall it says 14th Annual Orthography Commandos Spelling Bee. And then there's a row of these guys all in red hoods and red robes, and they're holding a book. And then in front of them is another row of red robed and hooded people with weapons pointed at all of the contestants in this spelling bee. Spelling bee. They have been kidnapped for a spelling bee.
This is such like a Douglas Adams,
Very much.
feel to it, where it's just
Very much.
super silly, thing that just exists. It's like it's a piece of our world in a completely nonsensical environment.
And it's so nonsensical and so out of left field and so doesn't fit the narrative up to this point. It's just it's zany and wacky, and I like that it's stupid, right? Because it's stupid. But it's fun,
right? Yeah, as long as it's entertaining,
it's entertaining, and it is it's a parody. There's all these characters are parodied all over the place.
As long as it doesn't feel out of place, like if you were to do something like this in a serious book, be like, okay, so what's this really mean? Like, what is this really?
Right.
But in
Right.
when you're in a place like Lobo, when there's a surprise spelling bee, like nobody expects this Spanish Inquisition like music plays.
I mean, it's just
works.
as silly as that one dude doing his poetry that kills people.
right. Vogan poetry. Right.
The Vogan poetry, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I can dig it.
It is out of place because it's so out of left field. But at the same time, they're being chased by the Legion of Decency,
Right.
And now they're being attacked by the Orthography Commandos.
That's who I thought it was at first, because they were like, talking about their grammar and all that
Right.
stuff, and I was like, oh, it's those old ladies.
Nope, totally different faction of folks. They are, their whole task is to free the universe of the ignorant.
Okay.
They have a huge, deep hatred for people who can't spell. And they use this spelling bee as a way to weed out the weak ones, right?
Right.
I'm not going to go over this a lot. It's something that this is a good place for me to do my thing where it's like, you need to just read it. It's so silly.
Got it. So,
Yeah.
An encounter with galactic grammar Nazis. Like you could
Exactly.
that's something for you.
You got to read it for yourself. Yeah. And Mrs. Tribb, I will say, Mrs. Tribb is excited because she's like, Lobo's definitely gonna get killed, right? He's gonna die. He's a fucking moron in her mind, right? So she's a teacher. She knows how to spell. So she's excited that she's like, see you later. Nice knowing you.
I like how there's still no camaraderie at all. Like, oh, we'll get out of this together. She's like, see you, loser.
Nope. Yeah, none. She absolutely despises him, and she's very confident. But he becomes the next contestant, right? And his first word to spell, genocide.
All right, hey, it's still a coin toss. Like, just because he's good at it doesn't mean he can spell it. He's like J. Like, oh fuck.
And these guys they weren't joking around, right? Like, so they give what's this guy's word? His word is mnemonic, and if you don't know, mnemonic starts with an M, but this poor bastard says N and is immediately vaporized. His whole chest cavity is just exploded.
I would have started with a P, like pneumonia.
Yeah, no, it starts with an M. Mnemonic. Yeah,
English is stupid.
it's Dumba. So they're just capping fools left and right because they're giving them pretty hard words, and only Lobo and Miss Tribb are left.
Oh man!
And he's like he yells out. He's like, this isn't fair, and she's a teacher, so she's got a one up on me. It's not fair. It's a unfair contest because I'm just a guy and this is a teacher. How can I beat that, right?
Yeah, she's made for this.
And she's like, that's right. I'm a teacher, and they're like, you kidnapped and have been treating poorly, they're like, a teacher. Oh my gosh. That's like one of their best, favorite things in the universe, because they teach the ignorant and the illiterate to make them not, right?
Right, yeah.
So they're like, screw it. We don't care that you got everything wrong. We're gonna wrap you up in a bunch of chains and metal, and we're gonna execute you anyway. And right when they're about to
That seems
kill,
like my experience with school. I think I remember that part of school where they
Yeah.
tie you up in a bunch of chains and throw you into space.
a lot of chains and bloody chairs.
Right,
You got it.
right, yep. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. That was 4th grade. That sounds right.
Fourth, yeah, that sounds about right. Kickball was a bloodbath. And here's another example of the writers kind of using whatever they need to in the moment. His powers vary so much. At one point in this book so far, he's been hit with a mace in the face and he bled, but then he also is standing there chained up and didn't do anything, and now he's completely covered in all these crazy handcuffs, chains, and big strips of metal to lock him down. He just breaks out of it no problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like if he's soft enough to have an axe blade hurt his arm because it's stuck inside
Right.
and bleed, if he's going to try and use his super strength to rip through this metal, it'd just dig into him, right?
Is it kind of like a Hulk thing where like the angrier he gets, the tougher he gets?
I mean, maybe. I guess that's one, if you want to explain it in your head that way, maybe. Maybe it's like when he's not thinking about it, he's vulnerable. But when he's like serious about damaging you, then he becomes impervious or something. Maybe. I guess that's, if it doesn't explain it in canon some way,
Right.
that works for me.
Yeah, at least it's
it
like
only
kind of precedent for it. And it's like he's not the...
Yeah.
It's not completely made... Well, it also is completely made up. But I mean, it's not... this particular aspect's not completely made up.
Yeah, that works for me. Let's go
Okay.
with that. He's only impervious when he's thinking about being so.
Sure. Why not? That's like some Tony Robbins shit.
No kidding, huh?
You're only impervious if you believe you're impervious.
You can do anything as long as you believe it.
Now walk over these coals. All right.
Now wear these giant teeth so you look like me. Also, here's some stilts because I'm a fucking giant. So he breaks out of his bonds and just destroys them. He just wrecks them up. He's like, I'm talking fists inside chest cavities, ripping them apart.
Got it.
Pretty gnarly shit.
Because these guys weren't just an inconvenience or annoyance. These guys actually like captured him and threatened him and sidetracked him. So yeah, these would up the ante a little bit.
And they sided with her, right? So they were sympathetic to her. They were like, "You're fucking with a teacher. We're gonna kill you." And so not only did they get the jump on him, right? They were also on her side. So he did not spare them any pain.
Yeah, that's probably the
for
most
sure.
important part. Yeah, you're right.
Right. So they get back on the road. This issue is kind of a condensed one. There's not a lot that happens in this.
Okay.
It's basically the spelling bee, and then them back on the road, and then Docs finally hears from Lobo. So he's freaking out. Like his plan is falling
Right. Yeah,
apart.
'cause he had gone missing. Yeah.
Exactly. And so he finally calls back, and he's like, "Where the fuck have you been?" Right? Like, Jesus Christ, you're screwing everything up. And he's like, "Okay, hey, I'm fine, thanks." And Lobo proceeds to tell him, he's like, "You know what? This has been such a pain in the ass that I'm not going to go straight to your headquarters. I'm going to stop at Revel 7. And Revel 7 is like a paradise party planet."
Oh.
So Lobo is stressed. He needs some R&R. And at first Docs is like, "No, that's not good, right?"
Uh-huh.
And he's like, Revel 7. How can I make this, use this situation?
Uh-huh.
And he says, and Lobo's like, "I don't fucking care. I'm going. Like, you're not going to stop me. We're going to go."
And he's bringing the old lady with him?
He's taking the old lady with him.
I mean,
he's still got to protect the old lady. He still said that he would bring her in alive.
Yeah.
And he still intends on doing that.
All right.
But he's stressed. He's not having a good time. This has been the worst few days of his life, and he needs to relax.
And at least this way, if he's still working, he can expense all of his meals and all of the porter tips and the maitre d' and all that stuff. So good on him business wise.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
He's still on the clock.
He's still on the clock. He's just he's taking a breather.
Right.
And Docs he's sitting there thinking, he's like, Revel 7, what? Okay. We're on an unsecured channel and he announced where he's going. Oh shit. And he freaks out. And he starts running and he has to kind of, go to his command center and pull up the screen that shows where all of those people that are following Lobo. Right. They definitely heard where Lobo's going.
Okay.
And that's not a good thing. See, because Docs needed him to bring her to where he is.
Right.
Because it's remote
right.
and it's away from other people.
Right.
So Docs he's not completely bad.
And so all of his chess pieces are scattered now.
Yes. Right. And if they go to Revel 7, that is filled with millions of people.
Right. That's a tourist spot.
Yeah. If something bad goes down there, if his plan comes to a head at Revel 7, it's going to be a bloodbath.
Got it. Okay.
So he's freaking out, right? And the issue ends with issue number 3, Spell or Die, ends with her complaining yet again that this place sucks. And he says, "Shut up and drink your damn Mai Tai." And has drank many of them already. And she's sitting there, still legless, mind you.
Yeah.
In a chair, drinking a Mai Tai.
Yeah. That's how I want to end up.
I mean, there has to be worse ways, right? Worse ways to be.
I'm just glad that there's Mai Tais in space. Like, I'll know that someday, when I get out there, I can still find a Mai Tai in space.
Yeah. They're delicious. If you've never had one, people, go get a Mai Tai.
Please. It's a Kool-Aid with rum in it. It's amazing. You should absolutely do it.
It really is. They're really good. And get the big stupid ones too. You're on vacation.
Yeah.
Get them out of a fucking pineapple with all the umbrellas in the world. Screw it.
Yeah.
It's fun. Diet blue. Who cares? So they're on this planet. They're taking a break.
Okay.
She's not happy.
No.
He says, "Shut the hell up. Drink some booze."
Rude.
Now we're on to issue number 4, and this issue is called The Last Czarnian.
For sure this time.
Seemingly so. It's a little bit of a foreshadowing of things to come.
Okay.
So now this issue starts. You know what? Lobo does not like this planet after all. Yeah. Not happy with his vacation planet because all they're doing is partying and drinking.
Okay.
That's it. There's nothing else happening. He says a colostomy would have been more fun than this. So Lobo's he's not having it. He's not feeling it. He doesn't like the vibe.
Okay.
And he proceeds to tell her to shut the hell up again and hangs her up in a closet. She can't walk. Her legs don't work.
Yeah, right.
And he just hangs her by her, like, by her like, dress or muumuu, whatever the hell she's wearing.
Sure.
And hangs her up and closes the door. He's gonna create his own fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say, this sounds like the planet he came from. Like it's all paradise, everyone's happy and having a good time. Like that seems like the planet he was born on. Like it doesn't seem like his scene.
Yeah, he thought it was gonna be something else because he says it's not my fault that this planet is not all it's cracked up to be. Right? It doesn't live up to the reputation, or at least in his opinion.
Right.
It probably is exactly the way it's supposed to be. Party planet. You go there, it's nothing but fun in the sun, drinking, partying, whatever. Right. But that's not Lobo's idea of fun.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Because most people's idea of fun isn't genocide. Like they're catering to most people.
Exactly.
He has a very specific fetish.
Very, very specific. Chaos and nothing but.
Yeah.
So he changes clothes. He's decided to fit in. He's wearing a hat backwards. He's got on some swim shorts, some flip flops. He's got himself a cigar and some sunglasses and a Hawaiian print shirt. Right. He's getting into the mood. He's decided to be a part of the gang.
Right.
And he hacks the planet's like a TV station. Right. He broadcasts planet wide. And again, I don't know if I've mentioned this yet, but Lobo is absolutely known throughout the universe. Okay. He is infamous for what he does. He does not hide in the shadows.
Got it.
Everybody knows Lobo.
Okay.
And he gets on TV and he says, "So, everybody enjoying their vacations? Great. Now it's time for me to have a little bit of fun. Now it's time for me to have my vacation." And he says, in exactly 5 hours, I start killing anyone still on this mud ball. So in 5 hours' time, if you're still on the planet, he is going to murder you.
Okay.
And since everybody knows Lobo, and he always does what he says.
Oh, right. Right. Okay, yep.
He always does what he says. So he is saying, I will kill you if you are on this planet in 5 hours.
They know it's not a bluff. They're like, for reals, get out of here. Right, that's going to happen.
Right. It is his message to everybody to leave, and everybody knows he's serious.
Surprisingly merciful. 5 hours. I mean, if you're all space-bound people, all right. I think you're good.
Yeah. But this is a planet with hundreds of millions of people, I'm guessing, right? Because it's a planet and it's a vacation planet. So I'm going to guess it's pretty freaking full.
Right. Yeah.
And there's not going to be a lot of ways off.
No.
So he's created himself a nice little bottleneck of sorts to watch as people panic. So we cut back to Dox. I keep wanting to call him Drox for some reason. Vril Dox.
It's probably from Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, and he's green too. He's green and big and muscular. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. It's my brain is trying to say Drax, and it's like no, Dox. So he obviously sees the broadcast, right? And he's like, shit. This is bad. Just a big joke to Lobo, but these poor people, this is not good. And so he's freaking out, right? And he also knows that everybody's converging into the area. All of the people that were following him, that were meant to follow him to the Legion HQ, is going to this planet. Like, it's turning into his plan is fucked. And Dox knows it.
Yeah, it's getting further and further away from his original idea.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, he's stressed.
Yeah.
This is not going to look good in the report, right? Okay. So now we see...
Like, after all that, he's still, like, middle management. Like, after all this.
Yeah, he's in charge of this huge police force of types, but no, he's stressed. This is not good. This is no bueno. And so now we're back on Revel 7, and people are just going, I mean, trampling people. Everybody's trying to claim that they're like pilots of ships so they can get on it. Like, everybody's freaking out. It's just worldwide panic.
Yeah.
And there's old Lobo just sitting in a lounge chair smoking a cigar as explosions upon explosions all over the place. Fire raging, people dying. He's sitting there chugging stuff. He's just loving it. This planet is now living up to his standards.
Right, now it's a vacation.
He says, hey, now this is more like it, right? And it's terrible, right?
Wow. Yeah. There's a whole different kind of Club Med experience.
Yeah, it's not good. And the art is really good. It's very vibrant, and seeing him in the clothes that they got him in is hilarious.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. I think I saw those when I was combing through some of the art earlier. Yeah, because it's so hard to tell with a character like Lobo the type of situation he's in, because it goes so kind of all over the place and kind of wacky.
It goes all over the place, yeah.
So yeah, I think I did see that one, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, this could either be a one shot, this could be a wizard special, this could be whatever. I have no idea. But
you're right.
Yeah. No, main storyline. Sure.
Nope. This is main. Yep. And it's hilarious, and he's actually starting to, so he's watching all this mayhem happen, and he's as if I really had the time to hang around and off everybody on this planet. He already has a freaking contract to get this chick in. He's got to leave. So he calls them all bozos. Can't take a joke, he says. Frag them if they can't take a joke. So it wasn't a promise. He was just making a joke, and now everybody's freaking out.
Right. Well, hey, when you're on vacation, it's different. There's immediately inconsistencies with the character. Like, he'll never do this, except for when he immediately does it. Okay, sure.
It's just a joke.
Right.
Okay? It's on them. All the death is not his fault.
Sure.
He's not who he is, and those people didn't believe him,
Yeah.
While all of this is happening, though, we start to see all the folks that have been following Lobo and Miss Trib. Okay. They start to arrive.
Okay.
the Truckers, the Sons of Lobo,
Right.
Legion of Decency, and the Oneida Police.
Right.
I don't know. Oneida.
I know. I see that too. Like I either one I think is fine. Oneida. I think because it sounds like one iota. Like when you say it out, like one ida. But if it's Oneida,
Right. Or even like Juanita,
it's Planet Juanita.
the Juanita Police. I'm going to go with Oneida.
Okay.
So all of those people plus the Oneida Police. And as they start to move in, havoc is raging across the planet. And none of these groups of people really know that the others are arriving as well.
Okay.
The sons of Lobo, the biker gang, they kind of saw some of the other people like moving in, and so they know of some of them, but they don't know everybody.
There's no
right?
coordination. Like, they haven't been getting together.
Zero.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Zero coordination.
Okay.
They're all doing their own thing without talking to anybody, right? And as they start to go in, shit just goes south.
Okay.
As the Oneida police, they exit hyperspace because they're rushing. They got to get there fast, right?
Right.
As they exit hyperspace, right in the path of the Truckers. Right?
Okay.
And the Sons of Lobo, they started to head in too because they said, hey, some of these folks are showing up that we saw. So they start racing towards them as well.
Right.
Towards the Truckers. They got to go fight the Truckers off, right? So the Truckers, they can't brake in time. And they run into the police force, and there's a huge explosion. This is, orbiting the planet.
In three-dimensional space. This is like the Blues Brothers police car pileup scene,
Absolutely.
but in space.
In space with a bunch of randos. And so the Sons of Lobo, they're going too fast and they can't stop. And they say, for the bow! And they just burn to death, all of them. Now, the Grannies, the Legion of Decency, they arrive in a different area.
Okay.
So they're saved from the carnage of those three groups meeting all at once and dying immediately.
Because they get to park in the handicap spot because they're old.
Exactly.
ladies.
Yeah, right. They came at it a different way. That was the wrong way to go for them. So they make it.
Wow. Okay.
And as they're flying into the planet's atmosphere, they start to have a look at what this kind of planet is, right? And they realize that this is a planet of sin. Right? So they're after Miss Tribb for her book. But once they arrive at this planet, they're like, holy shit, there's peep shows, there's drinking, there's drugs and sex and then all of the killing that's happening, right?
Right. Yeah. It's mayhem.
So they're like this place, they have to wait. They have to Miss Tribb and the book has to wait. They say peep shows, my word, I feel faint, disgusting, sick, unnatural. Put the Lobo business on the back burner. Time to inflict some morals, ladies. And then they scream banzai as this giant ship of guns just starts to just destroy the surface.
Oh my god.
So these little old ladies are just wreaking havoc, destroying everything they fly by. It's just guns and lasers everywhere. It's an awesome page.
That is
Really colorful, and it's just explosions, and they're just murdering everybody. The little old ladies.
that is excellent. Now, is there any
It's awesome.
is there any indication that this was any part of a plan by Lobo, or is this just chaos?
None. He has no idea.
That any of this was happening.
None. And he wouldn't even, he's the type of character that wouldn't even care if he did know.
Right. No. Yeah. Okay. But it establishes. Yeah. It's he's not like a like this mastermind where he's like, aha, I got you all here. Yeah. It's just like, no, hey, chaos just follows me wherever I go.
Yep. Exactly. Okay. And so if they actually managed to attack, he would just fight him. He wouldn't care.
Right.
It'd just be more fun for him. Right. But no, he has no clue.
Okay.
And it's just more explosions,
right?
Right? He doesn't know that those people are actually there for him. Right. And as they
really?
get on the bike,
okay, so he's that unaware of it. Like it's just more chaos showing up. It's like, oh, look, neat.
Exactly.
God, oh wow, that's even another separate level of apathy. Like, who are these people?
Yeah, no, it's just more carnage for him to watch.
Okay. All right.
He gets her out of the closet. She's still legless. Miss Tribb is still legless. Hasn't grown back yet. No sign of it growing back. But she's fine, right? She's still alive. She's not bleeding to death or anything.
Okay.
And as they get on the space hog and take off from the planet, they're flying away from the planet, and the surface is just red, right? So millions and millions of people are dying.
Right.
Because they couldn't take a joke, in his own words, right? And as he's flying away from the planet, they actually pass some Legion spaceships that were trying to get there before it happened. So Dox had sent out Legion representatives, basically like stormtroopers, to try and get there first to stop everybody from doing what just happened, which was everybody dying. So everybody who was supposed to converge at Legion HQ to kill Lobo are now dead. Right. Other than the grannies, the Legion of Decency is wreaking havoc, right?
Right, yeah.
They're inflicting those morals, like they said. So he's just like, oh, hey, look, Legion shock troopers, and just keeps on going.
Wow.
No big deal. Just like, whatever, okay.
Just add to the pot.
That's right. So Lobo and Miss Tribb, they finally arrive. It's been a hell of a week. I'm going to guess it's like 5 days, right? And he gets there, and Dox is a mess at this point. Nothing is worked out. It all went to shit.
No, right.
And they're like, sir, Lobo's here. He's finally back. He's like, all right. Casualties in the millions. Half a planet destroyed. And there's nothing I can pin on him other than a threat.
Right, yeah.
Because Lobo, he really didn't do anything.
No, he just got on. Yeah, it was like a convergence of chaos.
Yeah. He did his fair share of murdering, but it was on a local, right around him scale. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But even if he wouldn't have got on TV, like even if he wouldn't have done that, if he would have just sat quietly when the Morals Brigade landed, they would have started wrecking shop. So yeah, he kind of like is absolved.
Yeah, can't pin it on him. Right. Yeah, it's totally not his fault. He was just doing as he was told, albeit taking too long.
Right. Yeah, he did
going off course.
Right. Yeah, but it wasn't genetically modified scorpions.
Right. No, this wasn't his doing on purpose.
Yeah.
So he says, okay, Lobo would just call this shit a joke. No big deal. He says, at least I can rest assured that Tribb is alive. If nothing else, Lobo's word is his bond.
Right.
And he's still freaking out. Like Dox, he's like hyperventilating. He's like, okay, calm down. Okay. So he opens up the door. And Lobo says, yo, boss man, what's the good word? And this is one of the few times I think I'm going to tell the end of the book.
All right, everybody. Gather around.
And so he says, dig it. He says, one prisoner alive, escorted and delivered as promised. He says, what happened to her legs?
Don't worry about it.
And he's all, these old coots always forgetting things. And he says, Lobo says, no praise for a job well done. Like, she's alive, if not exactly kicking.
Yeah.
And then he has his hands on her shoulders. He's like, don't touch me, you miscreant. So there's still no camaraderie, like you had mentioned earlier.
Right.
No love whatsoever. Yeah. And he's like, all right, this is Dox. You did a good job. I'll take her into custody now. And Lobo it's a sizable panel of his face. And he says, thanks. Grabs Miss Tribb and twists her head around.
So he just needed to be like done with the job. Like he just needed the guy to say like, okay,
that's right.
Thank you. You're done. And like, all right, sweet. Now she's a free agent and donezo.
Done. Yep. He says, class dismissed, teach. He turns his head back. He says, delivered alive into your custody. That was the deal. Didn't say nothing about after you had custody. Have a nice day.
Wow.
Laughs. Walks out.
That is a hard technicality. Now, are we sure that she can't recover from that? I mean, she could just be irritated.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like the species is immortal. They can grow back from some things, but also I feel like it's an oversight, again, from the writers. It just doesn't make sense. You build up a character or a whole species of people that can clone themselves. They can regrow limbs. They can choose to die if they want to. Otherwise, they're immortal. But a broken neck, they can't come back from. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, so Miss Tribb, she's done. Dox has his hands covering his face. He's completely broken.
Because that was like the last part of the plan. Like everything else had fallen apart, but at least he had, this person. Okay, well, at least there's that. No.
At least there's that.
Nope.
Dead skis.
That report just got longer.
It got longer, and no way to explain what the hell is going on. And Chief Docs, his little assistant goes, hey, Chief Docs, and he's like, not now, please, not now, please, and he's just begging to be left alone so he can deal with this, and that's the end of the book.
Oh wow. Oh, that was fun. That was a nice little little road trip story. Like, it was completely encapsulated. Like, you had all the characters introduced in the first issue, and 4 issues later, you had them all concluded. Like, you had, except for like Lobo and the head guy, Dog. I wanted to say Drax too now. But because those are continuing characters. But yeah, everybody else. That was good. That was fun. So yeah, you said you probably wouldn't go back to it. Could you recommend this to anybody?
It's easily recommendable.
Okay,
for sure.
Okay.
In this same trade paperback that I have, there's a couple of Lobo specials. I'm not going to cover those today because they're just one-offs. Like in this one, it's called the Paramilitary Christmas Special, and he literally kills Santa Claus.
I saw that one too, because there was, when I was looking for thumbnails for the YouTube version, it was like all these different pictures of Lobo, and one of them was he's like essentially just curb stomped Santa. I was like, well, this would be interesting.
Oh yeah.
But the placement's all wrong. I need a horizontal shot. This is vertical.
And you know what? This book is way more gory. There's a lot more gore. Like he's slaughtering elves, and he's got a dog with him who's eating elves and farting them out and burping, and the dog is singing a song. Like, it's really weird.
Okay. So if you like that kind of stuff, if that's your comic jam, then Lobo might be a good fit for you if it's not already one of your favorites.
I know that Lobo is very well loved by many people, and I get it, I guess, but for me, I like my dark characters to at least have a real tragic motivation or something that kind of justifies the behavior.
Right.
Lobo was just born this way, and that's not fun to me. Like, that's just like an excuse to just have a bad character, I guess. Yeah,
and sometimes you're in the mood for just like some kind of witty violence and kind of stuff, and that's, I think, a big part of Deadpool's appeal. It's like, as you get that, and Lobo seems like that kind of character, just not written as well as Deadpool is. Like, Deadpool is kind of has evolved into a pretty special property, but
for sure.
But this,
and he's gone through a lot of changes too. He wasn't always,
he was serious.
He wasn't always a sympathetic character. That's for sure.
Yeah. So, but yeah, if you're into that kind of fourth wall breaking, humor kind of stuff, the stuff I've seen of Lobo, that's what that feels like to me. Yeah,
sure.
All right. Well, that was fun. I liked that. That was a fun story, and it was fun to hear the end of one. That was I got to do the whole thing, so that was cool. But it's it's a 30-year-old story, so it's not really
it's very old. Most people probably have read it,
right? Yeah, so it's fine. All right. Well, cool. With that, we're going to move on to the hold list, where we talk about the other things we're enjoying, comic-related and otherwise. And this week, they're actually both comic-related.
Yep.
I'm going to go first, give Jeremy a little break there. I'm going to talk about a book I just picked up that was recommended by my shop, Outer Plains. It's called Head Lopper. And the first thing you'll notice, well, besides the name, it's a very evocative name.
Right.
The cover is this bright red cover with this great kind of goblin thing on the front. It immediately attracts your attention.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It has been fun so far. I think we're going to cover it more on a future episode, but so far it's been fun. So this is created by writer and artist Andrew McLean, and is currently published by Image. They were doing an independent thing for a while, doing the Kickstarter thing for a while. So there's some editions of this book that are totally indie, but Image picked up publishing from the whole catalog. So, and they've done a really great job. The quality is really fantastic.
Yeah.
The story follows the exploits of a Viking warrior named Norgal, who is also known as the titular Head Lopper for obvious reasons.
Oh yeah.
And one of his companions, his main companion, is the severed head of Agatha the Blue Witch, which is kind of a comical character who's like his sidekick that he carries around by her hair. This actually started as an art project. This started as a nostalgia contest for an art group. And Andrew McLean created this Viking character and the Agatha character and started from there. And so it started, from the images. And then he built it out into a larger narrative, kind of once it kind of got some legs. So I picked up the first book. It collects Head Lopper 1 through 4. And for only 4 issues, this is thick with 2 C's. It is huge. Like this is a tome for 4 issues, but so much of it is art. Like there's whole pages where it's just movement and just really nice flow to the artwork.
Yeah, the artwork is very Adventure Time mixed with Mike Mignola.
Yeah,
right?
so that's actually my at my shop. They I say my shop like I own it, but the shop that I go to,
Might as
the
well.
shop that
Whatever.
I frequent, they have these little cards set up, and it's almost like a little descriptor of what like their top books are. They do it for like a handful of them. And the card for this said, if Mike Mignola and Pendleton Ward had a baby.
And it's so accurate.
Yes. Yeah. You'll look at some of these images and you're like, that's straight out of Hellboy. And then you'll look at another page and it's like, that looks like an episode of Adventure Time. It's a really cool mix that is like seamless. It is really interesting.
It is. It's really cool.
But yeah, you had to look at the art. And you liked it?
I did. It's really good. There's a couple of covers that are just, I want that on my wall for sure.
I thought that too. Like this would be a great,
Rafael Grompa did a cover as well, and that one is just amazing.
Yeah.
But like the one that you had described, the Head Lopper and the Island or Plague of Beasts cover.
Yeah, the first book cover.
Oh man,
Isn't that great?
That is so awesome. It's so good.
It's an amazing use of negative space.
Yes.
Using so you and I have both worked in graphic design. Working with red is hard. Like you'd think it'd be easy, because it's big, bright, bold color, and everybody wants it. Oh God, if you're ever doing design work or ad work, make everything red. Listen, this ain't a Virtual Boy. Back up. Like
and yellow text for some reason. Like they think yellow text is
what are you-
super visible. It's fucking not.
What are you making a hot dog?
Anyway.
Get out of here.
God.
But this is a lesson on how to use primal colors and negative space.
It's fantastic.
So yeah, it's got big monsters, it's got big color, it's got really great action. The fight scenes are beautifully choreographed. I mean, it looked like something out of a like really classic old kung fu movie or something.
Nice. Very nice.
And they have like a Tartakovsky style to the sword fights. That's the guy who did a Samurai Jack and Clone Wars and some of that. That like it has sword fights like that where it's standoffs. It's very dramatic and then quick movements. It's from one side to the other, and then let your brain fill in the rest. So yeah, like I said, we'll likely cover this in depth in a future episode. It's going to be a lot of descriptions. It's going to be a lot of like, all right, over the course of 40 pages, he went from here to there, and he fought something. And it was really pretty. So I'll try my best.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
That'll be a cool way to do an episode because we won't be able to rely on a lot of dialogue. So it'll be
I have
fun.
a feeling it's going to be like retelling a fairy tale. Where it's like, all right, I have to tell, I'm going to fill in as best I can.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're like me and you like your colors big and bright and your action full tilt, then absolutely pick this one up. Check it out. It's a gorgeous book and it's a really nice addition to your collection. Like I've had it out here on the desk because I've been working on it, and it's like every time I look over it, it's like, man, that's pretty.
and I haven't read it yet. I haven't even thumbed through a book yet, so I haven't seen the interior pages that you're talking about. And I already want some of these like posters.
Yeah.
I want them up in my office for sure.
Yeah.
Like the art is just it's perfect.
Yeah. And if you have some younger readers in your life, it is a little violent. You might want to look through it first, but the art is going to be immediately appealing to anybody who is a fan of animated stuff of the last 10 years. It has that style. So yeah, check that out. If you get a chance, go to your shop, check that out. And then Jeremy, you have one this week that's very hard to spell.
Yes, it is.
But the English equivalent is Berserker.
I'll watch, but he's gonna sing and watch. It's too funny.
My love for you is like a truck berserker. Would you like some making fuck berserker?
That's fucking funny, man.
Did he say making fuck?
Berserker, yeah. It's like a coffee shop in my town. It's missing key letters, but you can still tell what it is. There's a coffee shop here called Relevant, but there's no E's at all.
Sure, yeah, you don't need them.
So it's Relevant.
It's how it sounds if you have a mouthful of coffee.
Exactly. You're right. Exactly. I'm sure that this is a brand new book, and I'm sure that because of who's writing it and who is promoting it, it's already very well known out there. But it's Berserker, and it's published by Boom Studios, and it's written by Keanu Reeves and Matt Kint. Mm-hmm. I'm going to guess that's how you say his last name. And then it's drawn by Ron Garney, and it follows what is essentially an immortal warrior known as Berserker as he, fights his way through the ages. As far as I know, this is supposed to be a 12-issue limited series.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
I've only gone through the first issue. The art is very good. What's his name again? Ron Garney. I've never heard of this guy. I feel like I've seen his work before. It's very cool. It's a lot of usage of like ink, inking.
Yeah.
Not a lot of heavy outlining at all. It's all done with big swaths of black ink. It looks like he, is all brush work.
Right. Yeah.
It's very nice. It's very pleasant to look at. And this book is gory. Like, it is gory. It's like if John Wick didn't have to worry about dodging bullets.
Okay.
It's just like I can just run into this room, shoot at everybody, or stab them, or punch them, or whatever, and they can just go ahead and shoot me.
That must make being a hitman a lot easier.
Exactly. Like he doesn't have to worry about jack, and I mean he's an unstoppable force, and he's obviously very strong. He's punching bottom jaws off. He's crushing heads underfoot. He's punching through stomachs. It's just ripping ribs out. Like, it's gory. Wow. He rips a rib out and then stabs a dude in the neck with it. Rips an arm off, beats somebody else to death with it. Like this is a rough book.
Wow. Yeah. So if you like John Wick, but you're looking to step it up a notch.
Yeah, for sure. Not much to really go over story wise. Okay. I just have the first issue, and so far it's fun.
Nice.
It's gory fun.
Nice. So it's written by Keanu Reeves. Is it written from his experience being immortal?
Oh man, you know what? Maybe.
Yeah, I think this might be like a low key confession.
This is his low key confession. You're right. You're right.
We'll find some like cave painting in France, and it's just like, is that Keanu Reeves?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Nice. All right. Well, that sounds fun. And 12-issue run makes sense because he's not a comic writer. This is probably just a project he wanted to do and has a story that he wants to play with, and then that's gonna be it. And that's fine. Like that's great. So awesome. That sounds fun. And how do you spell that?
Yeah,
exactly. Because
it is Brzrkr.
All right,
Berserker.
Yeah, it's something like a clever license plate.
Exactly. Or a pretentious coffee shop.
Yeah. All right. Well, that will lead us to our IRL Hero of the Week, where we take a moment to spotlight heroes in our own universe. And this week, we're talking about DC Comics, and I think this might be the second time they've been on here. So you may say that we're biased. I just think that DC's been up to some good shit lately. So I'm gonna frame it like that. So good on you, DC. Keep it up. So DC has announced DC Pride, an 80-page anthology comic featuring LGBTQIA plus characters from across the DC universe, and Crush and Lobo, a new 8-issue miniseries written by Mariko Tamaki. So Lobo still has legs. He's still, I mean, unlike his teacher, like he's still making it. You know, like he's still
going.
featured.
Yeah.
So in this new 8-issue miniseries publishing between June 2021 and January 2022, Crush, daughter of the Czarnian bounty hunter Lobo, who, we'll do a little background here, as a baby, crash landed in the middle of Burning Man. And she was discovered and raised off the grid. She was homeschooled and stuff by a couple of well-meaning hippies named David and Lisa Rojas. So they didn't want her to be picked on or made fun of for her strange face markings because she looks just like Lobo. And so they kept her away.
And is pale and slightly blue and an alien.
Right. Well, they told her that her parents were actually superheroes who had to go off into space for for like something heroic and have yet to return. So she's under the impression, or she was under the impression, that she was actually the child of heroes, which explains why as she grew up, she kind of broke out and joined the Teen Titans. Now she's a young adult woman, and this miniseries is about her kind of finding out a little bit more about her past, rage quitting the Teen Titans, breaking up with her girlfriend Katie, and confronting her dad in space jail. It's a tale as old as time.
As they all go.
So Crush and Lobo will launch on June 1st, and DC Pride will publish on June 8th. DC will also publish a series of 9 Pride-themed variant covers, and the Pride #1 cover is done by the big boss man himself, Jim Lee. It's a beautiful cover.
Nice.
But there's some really nice ones in there, actually. There's a really nice Superman cover. There's a couple really pretty Harley Poison Ivy covers, and they're featured in a number of the stories. And there are 2 really nice Wonder Woman covers. So check those out. DC Pride #1 will feature LGBTQIA plus characters from all corners of DC's ever-expanding universe, including cameos by fan favorites such as Batwoman, Alan Scott, Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, and Jeremy and I's favorite comic book super couple, Apollo and Midnighter.
Hell yeah.
That's who we stand for. That's
Apollo and the Midnighter were the first openly gay couple in comic history.
Really?
Yeah.
I remember that, like it was pretty early on, but yeah, it was very cool. And it was cool that it wasn't really a big deal. It was just there was
no, it wasn't. Yeah, it was just that's how they are.
In this universe, Superman and Batman love each other very much. And that was it.
And they are still 2 folks you don't want to mess with.
Never, ever, ever.
No.
But they're part of the DC family. So they're included in this DC Pride run. So
very cool.
Check out all of the titles in the Pride run coming in June. And DC, for supporting all of the many beautiful voices here in the multiverse, you're our hero of the week. Again. So good job, DC.
Again. Keep it up.
All right, that will do it for this week. Next week, we drop into 4-3 perspective and talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League. We're going to watch it together, and we're going to talk about it.
Yep.
Like, what a novel idea, right? Like, how has no one else thought about doing that? Because we're going to be the first ones.
We are geniuses.
We're going to be the only ones talking about it, I swear.
Geniuses. I can't believe this niche has not been filled.
I know. We're just brilliant, I tell you.
Absolutely.
So check that out next week. It'll be a little off model, but it'll hopefully be pretty fun. So we're going to be talking about a movie based on comics. So we're gonna try that out.
It's new. It's relevant. It's not 30 years old.
It's not from 1990. So email us at mindingthemultiverse@gmail.com. Find us at This Multiverse on Twitter, or leave us a comment on YouTube to recommend story arcs. Tell us what we're wrong about, or if you were hoping this episode was going to be about the easy listening troubadour Lobo, let us know. And if that's you, well, we're going out this week on the Lobo Classic, holding on for dear love.
to keep holding on, holding on, holding on for dear love. You better try holding on, holding on, holding on for dear love.
For Minding the Multiverse, I am Gabriel.
And I am Jeremy.
And remember, all of this is now canon. All right.